real, it's live, and as some comrades say, it's lit, right? lit, lit, lit. Real, live, lit, 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 right? The revolution is lit.
Uhuru comrades, and welcome to today's Omali Taught Me Sunday Study live with the leader of the African Nation, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. My name is Akile Anai, the Director of Agitation and Propaganda for the African People's Socialist Party, as well as your MC. Today's study is themed, Not One Step Back. All roads lead to the November 4th Black People's March on the White House. This year, the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations conducts its 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, co-sponsored this year by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign. This historic mobilization is uniting the anti-colonial struggle, with comrades throughout the U.S. preparing to descend on Washington, D.C., to march to the center of imperialist power. Around the world, brothers and sisters have heard the call for the Department of Justice to drop the charges against the Uhuru Three, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, and are mobilizing demonstrations at U.S. embassies and government buildings. So far, we've got contingents from Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, Hands Off Uhuru Coalition, Popular Resistance, Margaret Flowers Children's Contingent, Black is Back, Louisiana United International, Jericho, Comrade Sister Lisa Davis, the People's Organization for Progress, the Joko Collective, Efia Nwangaza and the Malcolm X Center, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, the African National Women's Organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the All African People's Development and Empowerment Project, the African People's Socialist Party, Barry Bender, Green Party of New Jersey, the United National Anti-War Coalition, Union del Barrio, and LA Hands Off Cuba Committee. And we want you to add yourself to this list. So please utilize the chat feature today to let us know that you'll be marching on the White House with us at the Black People's March on the White House. Today's study will discuss the significance of this mobilization, its difference from any other march that's ever occurred here, its call on all colonized and freedom-loving people to participate on November 4th. For today's discussion, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, chair to the Black is Back Coalition, will read the call to the Black People's March on the White House. Following, we'll be joined by Sister Lisa Davis, the vice chair of the Black is Back Coalition, and Sister Belinda Parker Brown, on the BIB steering committee, a BIB steering committee member representing Louisiana United International. Before we start, make sure to share this study far and wide. Take this moment, this opportunity right now. Like, share. It takes 5 seconds. Comment somebody's name in the chat section who should be a part of this discussion, somebody you want to join you in Washington, D.C., November 4th. So go ahead, take this moment, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and to Chairman Omali's Twitch channel. And also throughout this study, we'd like for any donations to go to uhurutours.com/donate. Donating to Uhuru Tours today will help to bring the electrifying presentations of Chairman Omali Yeshitela across the U.S. this fall, and the Northeast Region Book Tour has already begun. So continue to make your donations to make this to continue making this a reality at uhurutours.com/donate. All right, joining us now from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and his first stop for his book tour, it's my honor to introduce the leader of the African Nation and Worldwide African Revolution, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Comrade Director Akile. I want to just really express appreciation first. As you mentioned, I'm here in Philadelphia, and I'm here in part because of the incredible One Africa, One Nation market that our movement conducts with upwards of 100 different vendors who contribute to our community in that way, and contributes to the ability for us to initiate a process of capital circulation, money circulating in our own community. So I'm really proud to have been here for the market. There are other things we'll be doing. We'll be announcing that. But the leadership of that market, first of all, just looking at the leadership of the northern region of our party and movement, and Comrade Tiffany Murphy, who is extraordinarily hardworking and responsible for pulling all this stuff together, along with this crew that she's got. And the market provides an opportunity for all kinds of forces to come together. They learn leadership skills and other things, and have an opportunity to just interact with thousands of African people and others who come through on a regular basis. So I wanted to express appreciation for that. Appreciation to Comrade Tiffany, appreciation to the leadership of the northern region here, the people who work so hard to make the market happen. All of the volunteers. It was just a magnificent market book fair that we just conducted on Saturday. Also, I have to comment about, per usual, all you brothers and sisters who are in Africa, on the African continent and other places in the world where this parasitic social system sucks the resources out and makes infrastructure development so difficult here. They take the infrastructure away from Africa and transfer the capacity for infrastructure development to the colonial powers, and especially the United States. So it becomes necessary for people, when they can access electricity and things like that, to often do so collectively. And I know that there are people who are participating in this study collectively in townships in South Africa, in Sierra Leone, in Ghana, and other places around the world. And I just want to salute you and express my appreciation of your significance as forces who are contributing to the development of our movement. And I do see you, Comrade Nduku, who is there in New Jersey, and Comrade Kabula in Chicago, and Comrade Rage out of St. Louis, and Comrade Visto out of Namibia. Comrade Diop, it's really good to see you, and Comrade Secretary General Louise Kinshasa out there in London, and he's saying how we are watching from London. Good to see you. Comrade Kimba in New York as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge some of you and just say it's really important for people to do everything we can to share and to make sure that we grow our audience, because there's an effort being made to isolate us, to silo every discussion we're having. And in fact, one of the reasons that we're having this mobilization on November 4th, one of the reasons that we have initiated the Hands Off Uhuru campaign is because the United States government, the colonial powers have done everything to shut us up so that people cannot hear and cannot have access to what we say. And they're talking about imprisoning me, planning to give me a life sentence in prison because they don't like what's being said. So I can't talk about reparations from their perspective. I can't talk about the genocidal conditions being imposed on African people from their perspective. But I'm not supposed to talk about opposition to this cruel, vicious war that's broken to the surface that we can see happening in places, happening in Ukraine and Russia, carnage supreme. And of course, there's a war that's never spoken of in any meaningful way that's made against African people everywhere in the world. And so they're trying to quiet us, trying to shut us up. And that's why we're going to Washington, D.C. on November 4th. And that's why we end this meeting together. So today, so do everything you can. Share, get your friends, neighbors, relatives, etc., to come on to this discussion and find out what it is that our oppressors don't want you to hear, don't want you to talk about, don't want you to discuss, while they would try to keep some kind of sanitized discussion of the conditions of African people in this country, so that the only discussion you'll have is one permitted by the Democratic Party or by Biden, where you don't talk about stolen Black children that's happening on a regular basis with this so-called CPS process that's such a shameful assault. It's a modern form of slavery that steals our children. They don't want to talk about the gentrification. You don't hear that on the Democratic Party platform. You don't hear Biden talking about that. They're going for an election in 2024, and they're taking the vote of African people for granted. But they're not saying anything about the massive gentrification that's hitting African people throughout this country. And of course, the first gentrification, as far as we're concerned, as you know, is the assault on Africa. So they push us out of Africa. They come and begin to take possession of that. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to have a meaningful discussion about Ukraine, et cetera, because then they'd have to discuss the war that's being made against African people. That gives them, they think, the ability to characterize the struggle that's being made in French control Africa. They want to be able to say that somebody who's overthrowing a neo-colonial regime in Africa is somehow fighting against democracy, that somehow because a puppet that they put in place is being overthrown, that's an assault on democracy, when we know, of course, that there is nothing more anti-democratic or undemocratic than slavery and colonialism. So if somebody makes an assault on the power of the slave master, the power of the colonizer in Africa, that's not a fight against democracy. That's a movement toward democracy. So again, I want to say that this is a call that we'll be looking at right now. The study revolves around the call for participation to attend the November 4th, 15th annual Black is Back march on Black People's March on the White House. And that's what we'll be looking at and talking about today. I really want to appreciate participation in this discussion with me, Comrade Vice Chair Lisa Davis out of Newark, who has been just an incredible force. She participating in this work in the Black is Back Coalition for a number of years now. Comrade Belinda Parker Brown from Louisiana International United there in Louisiana, who is a magnificent, outstanding representative of the struggle of our people, and who herself is under constant attack, constant assault, and even right now has faced a contempt of court charge that has resulted in her being called on or forced, they're being demanded a ransom from her of several hundred and perhaps thousands of dollars within the next few days. So this is a call to attend the November 4th, 2023 Black People's March on the White House. And we'll do this and we'll talk about it. And the call reads thusly: forward to the Black is Back Coalition's 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, November 4th. Drop the charges on the Uhuru Three. Not one step backwards. Build the anti-colonial free speech movement. There's a powerful new movement afoot. It is a movement that has been brought to life by a revitalized African liberation struggle and the recreation of a generalized and essential multinational unified anti-colonial leadership. It is a movement that will correct the course of history that has enslaved the world under an oppressive colonial mode of production that spawned capitalism, a system generally known as imperialism. It is a movement that is penetrating every nook and cranny, every crevice in the political and ideological terrain of the United States and the world. And it is calling you. This movement will roar to prominence on November 4th, 2023, with the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, sponsored by the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. This year's Black People's March on the White House is being co-sponsored by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fight Back Committee, along with the massive anti-colonial free speech coalition that was organized during a July 8th conference. The coalition is made up of at least 40 organizations and many individuals spanning the ideological and political spectrum. 18 of those organizations are constituent organizations of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, along with its organizationally unattached individual members. The theme for the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House is not one step backwards. Black liberation movement under FBI attack again. Drop the charges now. This unifying anti-colonial theme is a demand that stems from the watershed U.S. colonial government July 29, 2022 military attacks on the U.S. front of the African liberation movement in St. Petersburg, Florida, and St. Louis, Missouri. It was a violent attack initiated by FBI agents under the authority of the so-called U.S. Justice Department. It was an attack on seven properties and homes of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement it leads. It was an attack that shut down and terrorized entire roped-off African neighborhoods, in some cases demanding identification from Black people attempting to leave and enter their homes during the pre-dawn raids. Armored vehicles and flashbang grenades, along with assault weapons with lasers targeting the chest of APSP Chairman Omali Yeshitela, accompanied battering rams that destroyed doors and broke windows during the FBI looting rampage that stole financial records, archived materials, video, cell phones, laptops, and other communications devices to the tune of $40,000 in damage. Why? Because the crisis of the colonial mode of production is so pronounced, especially within the United States, that it cannot tolerate the much vaunted free speech that is enshrined in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Indeed, the First Amendment expression of free speech by colonized Africans is apparently feared even more than the Second Amendment rights claimed by U.S. white settlers to bear arms. The assault on free speech includes the U.S. government claims that the work by the African People's Socialist Party gathering signatures on petitions to take the United States to the United Nations for violation of the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide was initiated as part of a conspiracy by the Russian government to promote discord within the US. They pretend ignorance that our people have agency and do not need anyone, including Russians, to explain our plight for us. They ignore the fact that African people attempted to take the United States to the United Nations for violation of the Genocide Convention in 1952. 4 years after it was adopted by the United Nations, and 40 years before it was even ratified by the United States. They pretend to be ignorant of the dictum from the assassinated Malcolm X that Africans in the US should stop taking our case to US courts and bring the criminal US before the world court. They pretend ignorance of the fact that the African People's Socialist Party created the first World Tribunal on reparations for Africans in the United States in November of 1982 in Brooklyn, New York, where an international panel of jurors found the United States guilty of violating international laws, including the United Nations Genocide Convention. The US Colonial Justice Department ridiculously claims that the Uhuru movement election campaigns for mayor and city council in St. Petersburg, Florida, putting reparations on the ballot for the first time in history in 2017 and 2019, were also paid for by Russians, when the 14-point political platform of the African People's Socialist Party has carried explicit references to opposition to genocide and demanded reparations since the 1970s. Of course, the United States government that manufactured these bogus attacks on the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement knows these are all lies. However, they rely on the oppressive playbook they successfully utilized in the 1960s with the notorious COINTELPRO campaign. They manufactured anti-communist hysteria against Russia and in the United States, and fear of the Black Revolution that even infested much of the white left to isolate the US front of the African liberation movement, terrorizing the white settler population, splitting the progressive and revolutionaries, neutralizing the liberals, and isolating the African liberation movement was successful in the 1960s, but it won't work today, in part because of you. The Black is Back Coalition's 15th annual Black People's March on the White House is being co-sponsored by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Committee and the massive anti-colonial free speech coalition that recognizes that the attack on the APSP and Uhuru movement functions as the proverbial canary in the coal mine. We refuse to allow the Black liberation movement to be isolated and through inactivity function objectively as colonial accomplices. We see the intensification and repression in every sector. Indigenous people in concentration camps, euphemistically referred to as Indian reservations and barrios, and the 50-year lockdown of political prisoner Leonard Peltier, the continuation of imprisonment of children in cages at the US southern colonial border, and more. We see the escalation of the US-sponsored terror waged against Palestinians and other Arabs fighting the colonial project in the Middle East. A kidnapped Venezuelan diplomat, Alex Saab, is being illegally held in a US prison. Supporters of Cuba demanding the removal of that noble country from a bogus list of terrorism sponsors, spurious indictments of opponents to the Cop City Project in Atlanta, Georgia, are all examples of the growing repression in the wake of the July 29, 2022 attack on the US-based African liberation movement represented by the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. However, for the first time ever, on November 4th, anti-imperialists of every persuasion and nationality are marching lockstep in unity with and under the leadership of Africans and other colonized peoples, including the indigenous who live under settler colonial domination. You must also be there. On November 4th, anti-colonial free speech mobilization. Our November 4th anti-colonial free speech mobilization is a clear declaration by us all. We will not return to the past of defeated humiliation, not one step backward. We are coming by the hundreds from throughout the United States using every possible mode of transportation. Some of us will take commercial flights to DC, while others will drive and arrive in caravans. Chartered buses will roll into the capital from Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Minneapolis, and other areas of the US Midwest. Representatives of indigenous people, including organizers of the movement to free Leonard Peltier, will be there. A glaring reminder of the protracted nature of our struggle against colonial oppression. Groups are also organizing for the November anti-colonial free speech mobilization from southern U.S. cities in Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, among other locations. We also see and welcome comrades from Cambridge, New Haven, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Newark, Baltimore, and elsewhere. Africans are organizing protests on that day at the U.S. embassies in Pretoria and London. To date, Africans and supporters are planning unity demonstrations in Germany, Nigeria, Venezuela, and possibly Australia. The U.S. attack on the U.S. front of the African Liberation Movement has sparked an exponential resurgence of the anti-colonial movement. Ideological and political shackles that prevented united collaboration against our colonial oppressions are being shattered everywhere. The colonial issue is exploding globally. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Brazil, and Venezuelans are part of this explosion. The pushback against the revived Marcos regime must also be included. Your participation in the November 4th Black is Back mobilization will be part of this anti-colonial liberatory explosion. The growing unity of the Anti-Colonial Free Speech Coalition inspired the July 29, 2022 FBI attack on the African People's Socialist Party and Black Liberation Movement are exemplified by these demands around which we are marching. 1, hands off Uhuru. The Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition demands that all charges be dropped on the Uhuru 3 and for all others who have been targeted and politically imprisoned by the United States colonial state. Number 2, we demand the democratic right of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement to advocate and organize for total liberation, reunification, and self-determination of Africa and African people worldwide. Number 3, we denounce all FBI U.S. government raids, politically motivated indictments, arrests, surveillance, slander, and attacks against the African liberation movement, as well as against all anti-colonial movements and social justice, anti-war, anti-imperialist, and free speech organizations and movements as exemplified by the attacks on Stop Cop City and the Tampa 5. We demand the right. Number 4, we demand the right to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, to struggle to build our movements for justice, peace, liberation, and unity of all peoples. We demand the right to speak out and associate with our allies without fear of reprisals from U.S. government and colonial state. Number 5, we demand the release of all political prisoners, including Leonard Peltier, Jalil Al-Amin, Mumia Abu Jamal, Ed Poindexter, and many others. Drop all the charges against Assata Shakur. Number 6, we demand that all candidates and political parties contesting in the 2024 presidential and other elections adopt the demands to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3 and other targeted organizations, whistleblowers, and individuals. Number 7, we demand an end to the U.S. government attacks on Mexicans, Navajo, and other indigenous peoples, occupied Palestinian people, the Filipino people, African people in Haiti, Alex Saab, and the people of Venezuela, and an end to the blockade on Cuba, and demand the lift of travel bans and designations of Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. Number 8, we demand the immediate cessation of U.S. funding of the war in Ukraine, and that the billions of dollars being spent for that carnage be paid toward the long overdue reparations demand by Black people. With the July 29th, 2022 attack on our freedom movement, the colonizer has picked up a big rock and dropped it on its foot. We are uniting and we are winning. And so drop the charges on the Uhuru 3, build the anti-colonial free speech movement, venceremos, and forward to Washington, D.C., November 4th, 15th annual Black People's March on the White House. Uhuru, Comrade Akile.
Uhuru Chairman. I just really, really want to salute that brilliant call. And there's really no way that you can hear that and just not be moved to action. And we're going to be talking about some of the other organizations that are expected to be bringing contingents to November 4th. And again, we want you to add your name to this list. And at any point in time, please go to blackpeoplesmarch.com and become an endorser of this march. Tell us that you're coming. You can learn information about housing, any bus or travel contingent information. The one-stop shop for the Black People's March on the White House is blackpeoplesmarch.com. So we'll say that a little bit later, but to help when, people on this call who are participating in this discussion, if you're not, already or haven't already prepared to attend November 4th, I know you're getting prepared right now, and there's no way that you won't be booking your ticket or getting on a bus after you leave here, leave this discussion, following that call and following some discussion with comrade Sister Lisa Davis and Sister Belinda Parker Brown of Louisiana United International. So I would like to welcome these two powerful sisters onto our program today to talk about, why coming to the Black People's March on the White House is extremely important, why they are going to be there as well. So Uhuru, comrades Lisa Davis and Sister Belinda Parker Brown.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Uhuru, comrades. So, we can start with Sister Lisa, we can move to Belinda, Sister Belinda, and we will have a portion towards the end of this. We'll be taking some audience questions, but we can, just engage in discussion even with you and the chairman as well. So,
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this program this morning. It is definitely, I have been working with the Black is Back Coalition and the Uhuru movement for about 15 years, and it is just so powerful and awesome, and I'm so appreciative to have this coalition and this network of powerful, brilliant activists who are unafraid, who challenge this colonialism and U.S. imperialism on every level, because as we know, it strangles every aspect of our lives. And it is so important for us to march on this White House. We have been doing this for 15 years. The Black is Back Coalition came into existence partly in response to the new face of an escalation of U.S. colonialism when Barack Hussein Obama became president of the United States, and we felt that it was more important than ever to annually be at that White House, regardless of who was in office, letting them know that we are not backing off at all. We are not retreating. We're going to call this system out, and we are here to also change this system. And recently, as we know that things have just continued to escalate in terms of U.S. imperialism, there are attacks on everyday people, there are attacks throughout the world, there are attacks on African people, there are attacks on other oppressed people, and it's only been escalating. We've had nothing but constant, overt, non-stop war, and in addition to the continual abuses and exploitation of African people in this country and throughout the world and other oppressed people. And the attack on the Uhuru movement last year just represented another struggle, another even more escalation, actually a continuation of what they have always done, which is attack the African liberation struggle. But we also know that there are attacks going on with Stop Cop City. We have people within the Uhuru organization who are under attack, Sister Belinda Parker Brown, another comrade, Amanda Wallace, and we are not retreating at all. In the face of those attacks, we feel it's important for us to be even stronger. We are our own liberators. We always have been. Nothing that we have ever been able to advance has happened by voting for it. It has always been about the organization and the strength of the Black liberation struggle, the Black liberation movement. And this year, we're going to be in front of that White House, and we want these numbers even stronger, even more. Now, more than ever before even, There's literally talks of nuclear war. The United States has been one of the biggest instigators in the world. And we have to say no on every front. We have to say no. We have to say we are going to fight back. We will not allow this to happen. And we are so proud to be working with the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition, who is also co-sponsoring this event. So it is important to turn out in droves under the leadership of the African liberation struggle. And in spite of all the pain, but I'm so proud to be Black. I would want to be nothing else that has come with our existence, with the kidnapping of our people being brought to this land. We also have one of the greatest freedom fighting legacies ever. The legacy of the Black liberation struggle, being the one to challenge everything on every front in this country. And that is a legacy that I am proud of. And we want to build that legacy even stronger. So we are calling on people to join us, to join this Black People's March on the White House. And we are building these coalitions. We have been hearing so much from so many people. The December 12th movement, Ilambe Bra Foundation, the People's Organization for Progress, UNAC. We have been in meetings with people working with Leonard Peltier, people working with Cuba Solidarity, people working with freeing all political prisoners, and so many, many more. So be there on November 4th. And certainly, if you are in the New Jersey area, we are organizing in the Northeast. We will be bringing buses. And certainly, if you want more information about what's going on in the Northeast, and if you are in New Jersey, because North and New Jersey, we're going to turn out. We're going to turn out with this. You can reach out to me at 862-462-4091. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Sister Lisa Davis, and right on. I saw a comrade saying Uhuru to you. I want to shout out to Comrade Lauren in Lexington, Kentucky, says she's coming. And so far, they've got a contingent coming out of Lexington in that area to the Black is Back on November 4th. And so right on, Comrade Lauren. And we want other people to drop it in the comments. Let us know so we can shout you out. And for other people who are in your area to connect with you so they can join your contingent to Washington, D.C. So thank you, Sister Lisa. And we'll hear from Sister Belinda Parker Brown, Uhuru Comrade, Sister Belinda.
Yes, I am so excited. Wow. Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform today. I'm telling you, I am, after I hear the chairman speak, I mean, it's just like my blood just get the boiling, and I just get so excited because, you know, what I really want people, you know, one of the things that the chairman said is that, you know, this march on November 4th is about, you know, what they don't want the people to know, what they don't want us to be talking about, what they want to do to us is take away our right to speak the truth, to power about what's really happening to us. And I just want to say to the people that, you know, people who want something, get themselves together to get it. Not ask permission, not, you know, go there whining and crying and begging. You know, people, it is time for us to demand what's rightfully belong to us. And that is what this march is all about. So get excited. I know some of you out there that's listening right now, you know, I'm tired of marching. We've been marching, we've been praying, we've been crying, we've been begging, we've been going here, we've been going there. You know, we're 150 years and we're still waiting. But I'm here to tell you today that this is an event. This is a march. This is something that you need to get every piece of energy that you have left in your body to come and stand with us, march with us, be there on November the 4th. Because I'm here to tell you, it's time. This is our time. This is the opportunity opportune time for us to go and get what rightfully belongs to us. You know, I know for a fact that when it comes to people wanting to beg and cry and whine and give me mine, what's in it for me, me, my foe, and no more, that's over. That is over, people. We have to unite and come together on this one. This is the one that we all need to come from all over the world and be here on November the 4th, because I'm telling you, people are fed up and we're just not going to take this type of treatment anymore. And it's causing us to come together and unite. When we say that it's, what they don't want us to know, they don't want us to know. There was a lawsuit just filed here in Louisiana against the Angola prison. When I was a little girl growing up, I was instilled with fear. It was a mockery, that the people would, be sold here on New Orleans on the block, and they would cry out and say, I want to go back home. And they was like, yeah, you going to go somewhere. All right. We're going to put you in Angola, because Angola was a godforsaken hellhole penitentiary, a prison that over 7,000 people, that's where they would take them when they want to make slaves out of them. So it's a mockery. They don't want people to know right now about this lawsuit that was just filed this week on September the 15th about the people, the inmates in Angola are crying out that they're putting them out there picking okra, peeling crawfish, picking up potatoes and picking greens and watermelons and all of this stuff out there in the heat of the day, dropping dead in the fields, working them for 4 cents a day and making people billionaires. This is happening right now as I speak. They don't want people to know about the fact that it's a hellhole, that they drinking brown water. The water is poison. The food is poison. The dirt is poison. They don't want people to know that. They don't want us to know that they're still lynching people in the courtrooms. I was banned from the courtroom for life. It had a judge, an ignorant judge, had a nerve to tell me that I'm banned from the courtroom for life, because they don't want us in there seeing what they're doing to our loved ones when they're forcing and threatening, badgering them to take pleas to stuff that they didn't even do. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us talking about that, because that's their gravy train. So get on the bus, people. Or if you are fed up and you know that this is our opportune time, we can't take this no more. We're not going to wait another 150 years. We're not going back. We're not going to keep on letting them tell us, well, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's the black, it's the white, it's this, it's that. We're not going to let them tell us that no more. We're going to stand together. We're going to unite, and we're going to talk about what's rightfully ours, and we're going to demand that we get it. And if they don't give it to us, we're going to take it, people. It's time. It's time. It's all type of movements out here. It's blowing the whistle. It's filing a lawsuit. Oh, my God. Filing a lawsuit. Do you know I got a person that's been waiting 33 years for his lawsuit? Because the courts are corrupt. You can't sue the judge. You can't sue the police. They got this, they got that, they gonna cover up for themselves. All of that. How long are we gonna play? How long are they gonna play this game with us? Game over. And we need everybody to come and stand with us on November the 4th and demand what's rightfully ours. demand what's rightfully belonged to us as a free, all the free loving people in America need to be there. If you got to sell something, if you got to beg and borrow, this is the time to do it. Get on the bus, come by any means necessary. And let me get this straight, because I know the chairman, this is what the first thing people want to say. People, I'm telling you, we are a powerful people when we unite and come together. We cannot be defeated. We cannot be defeated when we unite and come together. This is not no storming on the Capitol. We're not fit to do that. The power is with the people that stand and unite together to demand what it is that rightfully belongs to us. And that's where we've been missing it at. And there's a lot of people out here that's helping us lose because they thinking that they gonna get it all by themselves, while they got their arms crossed, leaning up against the wall, waiting to see what somebody else gonna do. And you helping us lose by doing that and making excuses. You want to make an excuse. The dog's sick. The cat got in the tree. Stop making excuses, people. I got to pay my bills. Yeah, you're going to have to forever pay your bills if you don't unite and come to stand together with us so you can get what's rightfully belong to us. All of us together. That's where the power is. And I'm here to tell you, when you want something, people, when you want something that you know that is rightfully belong to you and your loved ones and your people, you have to come together and unite to get it. You cannot do it all by yourself. And Jesus is not going to give it to you, because Jesus has done everything he going to do. He not fit to go back to the cross. He not fit to let them drag him and hang him from the cross again. He have given you the power, because I know we got some of these religious people out here that forever on their knees and forever praying and crying, waiting on the Lord to do something. Stop that. Because God have given you the power. Now, I know some of y'all don't like that, especially some of y'all, bishops and pastors and all these people with all these letters in front of their name that's drunk on power, on trying to control something, and ain't got nothing, braggadocious, while your people is suffering. It's people out here, families being destroyed. People are suffering. Do you want to hear some of these recordings that I got about these people crying in the prison that they can't even get a clean drink of water? I'm not making this up. And I'm tired of people running, you petty bourgeoisie people, all you want to be something that you're not. You're running around here, black faces. I forget what the chairman say, and you're Sambos. You're selling your own people out. Stop that. Thank you. I am so sorry. I want y'all to get on the bus, people. I really want y'all to get on the bus and stop this dumb stuff. Stop the dumb stuff and get real. Listen to the young people. Get real. Because I have 8 children and 11 grandchildren. And I'm not fit to let them go through this. So I need each and every one of y'all to understand what I'm saying, what's coming out of my mouth. Get on the bus so we can go and get what rightfully belongs to all of us. Thank you.
Uhuru, Sister Belinda. Uhuru, Chairman, I see you wanted trying to say something. If you unmute, Uhuru.
Yeah, I just think that's extremely important. And I think that, every time somebody like Sharpton calls mobilization, all of these black militants and black nationalists and communists and whatever, you flock to Washington, D.C. to be there with them. And that's the Democratic Party that we're talking about. The Democratic Party does not have on its agenda the issues that Comrade Sister Belinda Parker Brown was just talking about. There's nothing on the platform of the Democratic Party that deals with the conditions or the existence of Angola prison. In fact, there's one brother who has commented in this discussion. He was saying, what is Angola? What is Angola? And this is a brother who is in Namibia. He's located in Namibia in Africa, and he's wondering, what the hell is this Angola we're talking about? And this Angola we're talking about is in the United States. And that's as Sister Belinda Parker Brown says, that they're going to send you to Africa. They're going to send you home. And home for them is Angola, which is the prison. They're picking up Africans on the streets and sticking them into prison, sticking them back in Angola or in Angola, the prison. That's not going to be on the Democratic. Biden is not going to talk about that. That's not going to be on the Democratic Party's platform. And the thing is that what makes this mobilization different, as Sister Belinda Parker Brown just mentioned, is that we're not talking about some going and begging and pleading and this kind of thing. That's one of those anti-racism mobilization, when the objective is to get your oppressor to love you, to like you. Here's somebody beating you up, killing you, lynching you historically, etc., and you marching to get them to like you. This is an anti-colonial mobilization. This is a mobilization that's not for Biden and the Democratic Party, it's for us. This is the process through which the colonized people are stepping forward, all of us. We're getting a chance to now flex our unity, to flex our muscle collectively so that we can see that we are here. We are saying to each other that we are here. We are powerful as a force, that we don't have to just follow lick spittles who are trying to kiss the feet of the oppressor. We are saying in the colonial domination of our people, in concentration camps called Indian reservations, in the barrios, throughout these places. We're saying free this comrade Saab, who's been from Venezuela, who's been illegally stuck in a prison because the Venezuelans had the audacity to say, we're going to take our resources back, etc. This is collectively where we're coming together. We're saying to each other, we are not alone anymore. And so we're not begging the Democratic Party. We're not begging Biden. We're telling them we have the power, that you want to be president. You expect that you can just walk in there and saying that I got a Negro who is the vice president, or I put some woman over from the indigenous population over the so-called Interior Department. And this is an indigenous woman. You got Leonard Peltier locked up in prison for 50 years. An indigenous man who just want to see the indigenous people free. So we are saying that that's not good enough. You can't just show your face and say that vote for me because you're scared of Trump. Vote for me because I'm not Trump. I'm not a Republican. No. And what happens is that people do that. They've been able to do this because there's an assumption that we don't have any alternative. The Democratic Party, the powers that be say you don't have an alternative. You don't have us, you got nothing. We say we have each other. That's what this mobilization is about. We say we have each other. And so that we do have an alternative, and we won't expect to have our position, our politics, our interests on your platform. So we're taking our own platform to Washington, D.C., and we are going to show ourselves. This is the thing that we do for ourselves. And anybody else who wants to see it, that the colonized people are standing together and we are fighting back. And we just have, I understand, we just got an endorsement from a commitment from the Chicago Alba Solidarity. And just want to welcome, these comrades who, everybody get on the bus. And we're saying that this is an anti-colonial mobilization. It's different from the anti-racism beg-in. This is not a beg-in. This is for us. And that what has to happen is get on the bus and or organize your own bus. If there is no bus that's coming from your location that you're familiar with right now, organize a bus. And or organize and initiate caravans, groups of you who can drive. But the thing is, get to Washington, D.C., and we got to do it on our own. And the Democratic Party, which, wants you to get to Washington, D.C. for some mobilization by one of these Negro leaders, and we'll turn out the trade unions and get buses, and they're not going to do that for us. We have the self-reliance. The struggle against colonialism requires the fight for self-reliance. We have to be a self-reliant people to order to end this relationship that we have. That's what the fight is all about. So we have to do it ourselves. When we come together collectively, we get a bus. We say the bus costs $8,000 to get there from someplace in Florida. Then we say it's 50 seats on that bus. Then how much will it take for each of the persons riding on that bus to contribute to make sure that we can get to Washington, D.C. I see comrades say from St. Petersburg, Florida, say we'll be there. And I see the Patrice Lumumba Coalition in London is there with us in this meeting today. And then Comrade Visto Rotaro Sabisa in Namibia, Uhuru Chairman Omali Yeshitela, we will mobilize our forces for the 4th of November and raise the Black is Back banner. Nduku says this will be the time that goes down in history as the demise of colonialism and colonial entities. I know what I feel inside me, and I would infect as many African people as I can with this spirit. So this is, and then here's Visto from Namibia. See, you got friends in Africa, they in Angola right now, Sister Belinda Parker Brown, and Visto's got heart saying up there, preach, 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 Sister Brown. And I unite with you, Visto, on that. Everybody does. And Carmen and Nduku, and most definitely do not come to me complaining about how hard things are if you're not willing to support the movement. If you don't want to get your body involved, support financially. So we've got all of these forces who are talking about moving forward. And this is what we have to do. So I'm just saying, Comrade Akile, this is going to be yes, Comrade Belinda.
Yeah, I wanna say this too, because we got to understand that all of our lives, as Black people here in America, it's this fear thing, especially when it comes to us being able to we go to the polls in fear. We vote in fear about what this one's going to do, and what we're going to vote for this one because they're not going to do this, and we're scared if we vote for this one that the other one going to do this, and we don't get this one in, that one's going to do that. It's just fear, and they have put us in so much fear. I'm guilty of the fear. Because when they say, well, Black people ain't gonna come together, y'all don't know why you thinking that. All of our life we was told that, we can't trust each other, we can't support each other, we can't come together, and we done bought into all of this fear, and it's helping us lose. And the young people, this young generation, they are fearless, and they are not going to tolerate this type of treatment. And it's time for us to stand up. And, we talk about, the blood of Jesus, and his power in the blood, but we run around here with chicken blood. We're scared. We're scared what they gonna do to us, and what don't vote for Trump because he gonna do this, and vote for this person because they not gonna do this to us, and all that. We got to get out of that. We got to stop worrying about what somebody else is going to do. It's not about what they're going to do, people. It's about what we gonna do.
And I think it's really important to say that fear is normal. We're not crazy. We've seen what this colonizer has done to people all around the world. They're talking about, they're actually planning on how to destroy the whole world without destroying themselves. Then nuclear war, all this stuff in Ukraine, and the games they're playing with China and things like that. And then, of course, they're killing us everywhere. They got us locked up in concentration camps. I used to hear a really famous guy who was a friend of mine who in the movement. He was talking about we won't be like the Jews and walk into the ovens. Hell, we ain't got to walk into the ovens. We're already in the ovens. That's what it means when 1 out of every 8 human beings on earth who's in prison is an African in this country. You in the oven. And that's why we got to break out of the ovens. We got to get our people out of these prisons, because that's not on Biden or the Democratic Party's agenda. We put it there. We put it on our own platform. We watching the DC. And I don't give a damn if Biden or the Democratic Party puts it there or not. The power is in us. And the power is in the relationship that we develop with other colonized peoples around the world. And the power is in genuine allies that we have who hate colonialism as much as we hate colonialism and want to do something to end it. So that's where the power is. And so, Comrade Akile, I'm gonna let you get it back, because we got to take this on, and we've got incredible forces here, and this is our march. It ain't Biden or the Democratic Party's march. I don't care. We're not coming out whining and begging, please love us today. And I'm tired of all of these Negroes and these organizations that claim we hate imperialism so much. We hate white power so much, etc. But they come out every time those people who support imperialism, who hold up white power, who hold up colonialism, every time those shuffling people, chicken-eating preachers call them to Washington, D.C. or some kind, they're on the first thing moving, but don't come out when it's time for them to exercise their ability to overturn this. It's almost like they like it. It's some kind of, sadism involved. And so we're not saying that fear is abnormal. There's something wrong with you because you're scared. Yeah, you can, like God jump out of a 10-story building. It might not be because he's brave. He might not understand the law of gravity. But we don't jump out of 10-story buildings unless we got parachutes or something to that effect. We know what this guy would do, but the difference is that we cannot allow our fear. We cannot allow fear to stop us, because at the point you know what you got to do, you know what must be done, you know that you can't have a future and your children won't have a future unless you do that, and then you let fear stop you. That's not just fear we're talking about. That's the point where what you call fear is turning into cowardice.
Uhuru, and I hear Sister Lisa Davis wanting to say something. So before we go into announcements, Sister Lisa Davis.
Right. I just want to say this much about fear, because courage to me is a muscle that has to be exercised. And I remember before I became connected to the movement, I was out there by myself just wanting to become an actress, just thinking about my own career. I had done my part. And I'm going to tell you right now, I ran into such horrors in terms of police brutality, although they did not physically hit me. And I was disconnected from the movement. I was out there scrambling. I was looking for, oh my gosh, how am I going to find anybody that's going to help me, that's going to support me? And I learned early on that there was no court system. There was no justice system. I couldn't even find politicians to do what needed to be done. They were emboldening. They were protecting the police. And I learned from that. I said, I will never be by myself again, because I should have at least been psychologically connected. And sometimes people are like, well, aren't you afraid? I'm like, they take down more of us, far more of us who were doing nothing, who were just existing. And I would get courage from being around people. And, when I first started out, my first memory of myself is this shy, timid person. That's my first memory of myself. But come around the people. All you got to do is just show up. Show up. Be around people. That is where our strength is. That is where our courage is. Courage is practice. It's got to be exercised. But we have always been our own liberators. We always have been. And it's going to take us to get us out of this. It is going to take us, not this system. And you'll be surprised how much courage you will find that you do have. And courage, call other people. I mean, you'll get more courage in a group. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Sister Lisa Davis, Sister Belinda, and Chairman. I really want to appreciate this incredible discussion, and it has been very mobilizing, so much to the point where there are people in the chat section who are saying they're going to be there in November, on November 4th at the Black People's March on the White House. Comrade Diop says, I'm willing to help mobilize a vehicle in my city, Philadelphia. And he also asks, where can we print and distribute flyers for this march? I want to let people know that there are outreach materials available on the blackpeoplesmarch.com website. There's an entire section with all of the materials, posters, flyers, banners. Go there, download, print at your local print store, and begin distributing out in your area, your city, your community. And also, if you're interested in getting on the bus, connecting with contingents leaving in different areas, please go to tinyurl.com/GOTB 2023. That's tinyurl.com/GOTB, get on the bus 2023. So you can connect with different forces leaving out of different areas throughout the US. And just a reminder as well, this is a call that has been answered by forces all throughout the world. There will be mobilizations that happen in London, in South Africa, and in various other places where you can learn that information at also blackpeoplesmarch.com. Find all of the different locations. So if you are one of those forces out there in the world, in Europe and in Africa, or if you want to mobilize a demonstration in support, like Comrade Visto in Namibia, who says we're raising up the Black is Back banner. If you want to organize a demonstration in your area at a U.S. embassy, at a U.S. government colonial building, then please let us know that information as well. We want the whole world to say, not one step back, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. So we're going to go ahead now.
Does that include Comrade Sangha in Portland?
Yes.
Sangha.
Uhuru. You guys are commenting. You guys are rapid fire right now. So I'm going to try to get to everybody and everything that's being stated. But I also just want to say, all power to the people, Black power to the African nation. Comrade Brooks says, if we cannot join, can we donate resources to help those organizing? Yes, you can. Please go to blackpeoplesmarch.com. You can make a donation. You can sponsor somebody's trip, or just, put resources overall into this process. So thank you so much. That was Comrade Brooke who asked that question.
You see Comrade Redbeard in San Francisco, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm sorry,
coming across from the left coast. He's going to be in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Uhuru. That's Comrade Redbeard. Want to salute you, as you said, Chairman, leaving from the left coast, the west coast, coming to Washington D.C. So he's going to be there. So Uhuru, Comrade Redbeard. So join this list of people we're shouting out right now who are saying, I'm going to be there at November 4th. Even if you haven't begun planning yet, let this serve as the information you'll need to begin planning that trip. But make that commitment and struggle to get there on November 4th for all the reasons that's been stated up to now. The time is now. The power has to be in our hands. We have to be jealous of the power that somebody else has over our lives, over our own resources. Like Comrade Belinda said, it's not about what they're going to do. Why are we having that discussion? It's about what we're going to do. And we're going to be at the Black People's March on the White House on November 4th. So, Uhuru. So let's go ahead and get into our announcements before we take some additional questions, from our live audience. So, and I also want to acknowledge that Chairman mentioned we received an endorsement and commitment to attend by Chicago ALBA, ALBA, which stands for Alianza Bolivariana para los Pueblos de Nuestra América. So I want to salute comrades in Chicago ALBA Solidarity, and also the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition, Fight Back Coalition, which has a current total membership of 40 organizations and individuals who have joined this coalition, who are also going to be at the Black is Back, the Black People's March on the White House on November 4th. So just wanted to acknowledge that as well. We've read some of the forces, contingents that are to be expected at November 4th. Wanted to shout those comrades out as well. So as we've been saying all along, all out to Washington, D.C. on November 4th for the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House. I want to repeat, 15th annual to Comrade Sister Belinda Parker Brown's point about how we are attacked, Black people are attacked, with things like we can't unite and, it's just not possible. We can't get together, anything like that. Well, the Black is Back Coalition has disproved, this myth. It has the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, an incredible feat. So again, this is sponsored by the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, and co-sponsored by the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. The theme of this year's mobilization is not one step backwards. Drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. There's going to be a pre-rally on Friday, November 3rd, the day before the march. So there's going to be a sign-making party as well at this pre-rally on Friday. So if you're able to get in that day before, you can go to the pre-rally, and there will also be a follow-up conference on Sunday, November 5th, the day after the march. So if you can stay that whole weekend, you can also learn more information about those events at blackpeoplesmarch.com.
You see Comrade Hannock in Bermuda, right? Who is there. And as part of the work that we're doing in the Caribbean, and of course, out of Louisville, Kentucky, as they call it, see Comrade Lauren Jackson, who is organizing to get people into Washington D.C. Comrade Diane out of Gainesville, Florida. Comrade Chimarenga out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Comrade Kenya, Uhuru from Lakeland, all power to the people, Black power to the African community. So there are all kinds of forces here, and we are all of this is going to Washington, D.C. So yeah, Uhuru.
Yes, Chairman. And we also have Comrade Wendy S. says, I will be there in D.C. as well, along with Comrade Kara, as members of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, also coming from the left coast, west coast, unity through reparations. That was, something also important to mention. There's going to be a solidarity contingent, Uhuru Solidarity Movement, white people being a part of this march, holding up the banner, not one step backwards, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. So salute to Comrade Wendy and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, African People Solidarity Committee, organizing this contingent as well.
Well, Comrade Director, I think it's important to mention another thing that's significant about this mobilization, about this moment in history, that we tell them that they're wrong if they think they can just isolate us like this. They were able to kill Fred Hampton and not a meaningful peep in 1969. You didn't see a meaningful peep from white left forces. They killed Malcolm. You didn't see the white left forces or anything like that mobilizing to deal with it. They killed King, and African people in this country rose up and actually were so ubiquitous in the fight back that they had to put tanks around the White House because they thought Africans were going to attack it. But this is the first time we've ever seen them. They couldn't just attack us, that we've extended the African liberation movement behind enemy lines. We have a situation now where anti-colonialist white people, they had to attack the white community in St. Louis. They didn't just attack us. They had to go to the white community in St. Louis where folk are working under the leadership of the Uhuru movement, part of the Uhuru movement, anti-African international, white African internationalists and what have you, and attack them as well. That's why two of the people, we talk about the Uhuru 3, that's because two of the people who they had to attack during this process were white people. This is the extent of the significance of this thing that makes it much different from what they were able to do in the past. They are not going to be able to just isolate us because we Black people and go Russia, Russia, Russia and think that's enough. It's not going to work. And so we're mobilizing in every sector, every place we can. You heard solidarity forces in Venezuela coming out of Chicago. They're coming hard. They're coming heavy. They're bringing everything that can be brought. You've got Mexicans. You've got Filipinos, various people from everywhere who are uniting and understanding the significance of the anti-colonial struggle, because every place around the world where you see this heightened attack is coming is against colonized people. Everywhere, whether that's in America, people have forgotten there's such a thing as indigenous people who live here. They're colonized. America is a settler colony, and Africans are like domestically colonized here as well. It's the colonial question that's begging to be represented today, and it is being represented today. And that's the thing that's got them running scared, and that's why we're going to go in to Washington, D.C. and turn the lights on and watch the roaches scatter.
Yes.
Chairman, I appreciate you bringing that up, and I really want to appreciate the African Socialist Party. I'm just amazed that you have been in this movement for over 50 years. And I'm telling you, I feel like this is 2023 is this is our time to be free from this colonized suffering. And people really need to understand that we can't we can't take much more of this. It's like we're at the point now in our lives that we're saying that we deserve the same respect of any other race, nationality, culture, whoever they may be. And we sit back and we see other people like the Ukrainians, getting billions of dollars. And I mean, just, we're sitting here, we're drinking poison water, and, our food is poison. Somebody gave me a big old turkey leg the size of my leg, and I'm not small, and I'm like, what is wrong with and everybody knows there's something wrong with the food. There's something wrong with the water. The air is poison. But we giving billion, we got people sleeping under the bridge, homeless people, since Katrina, still sleeping under the bridge here in Louisiana, but we can give billions of dollars to another country that we don't even know nothing about. What is that about? That is just a totally blatant disrespect for Black people here in America. We can't take that anymore.
Uhuru. Uhuru, Chairman and comrades, I want to make sure we can continue this discussion, and want to go back to get through the rest of our announcements, just to let people know everything that's going on regarding this march, and also different events happening inside the Uhuru movement. I wanted to give some information about those the international mobilization happening in Europe. At the U.S. Embassy in London, organized by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa London Organizing Committee. You can contact 07723 067-486 and stay tuned to the listing on theburningspear.com/events for more information. So again, this is the one that's happening at the U.S. Embassy in London. So if you are in Europe and want to come to a mobilization, this is the one to go to. So of course, also we want to really encourage people to join the counteroffensive to stop the FBI attacks on the African People's Socialist Party and the African liberation struggle, and to demand the charges against the Uhuru 3 be dropped. You can donate and support the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign by going to handsoffuhuru.org. The Verdict is in Reparations Now book tour is in the northern region of the U.S. and continues on Monday, September 18th at 6 p.m. at Uhuru Furniture in Philadelphia. They are hosting an evening with Omali Yeshitela. The event also features Mike Africa Jr. from the MOVE organization, Karen Smith and Friends, Revolutionary Percussion and Spoken Word, Penny Hess, chair of the African People Solidarity Committee and one of the Uhuru 3, and more. This is an in-person event. For more details, including the link to RSVP, please visit theburningspear.com/events. The Northern Region Tour will continue with events at Source of Knowledge Bookstore in Newark, New Jersey, the Harlem Book Fair, and the Brownsville Heritage House in Brooklyn, New York. Get all the details in the listings for these events at theburningspear.com/events. And then on Thursday, September 28th, the Uhuru 3 will appear in court for a hearing of oral arguments for the motion to dismiss in Tampa Middle District Federal Courthouse located at 801 North Florida Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Please arrive by 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Come and show your support in the courthouse and make the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. So this will feature our attorneys and, of course, the Uhuru 3 themselves, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville. This is going to be really important. We want to pack that courthouse. This is Thursday, September 28th. Whether you're in the area, in the Tampa Bay area, or you're from out of town, and you can come and make that, because it's a very important and historic event that's going to take place right there in Tampa, Florida. So again, all of the information, Tampa Middle District Federal Courthouse, 801 North Florida Avenue, Tampa, Florida. That's going to be Thursday, September 28th. Get there by 9 a.m. And on Monday, October 2nd, come to the No to FBI War on Black Liberation, Days of Reparations to African People campaign 2023 in Oakland, California. This event calls on white people to say no to the FBI war on Black liberation, demand that the Biden administration drop the charges against the Uhuru Three, and join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement's international campaign for Days of Reparations to African People to mobilize white people across the U.S. and world to stand in solidarity with the African Revolution. For more information, visit uhurusolidarity.org. The chairman will also be at San Francisco State University on October 3rd, and you can check all this out at theburningspear.com/events for details. The chairman's going to be very busy, the Uhuru Three very busy within these next few weeks, because we have the chairman's tour continuing to Southern California, October 4th through the 6th. He will be in San Diego in historic Barrio Logan at Cesar Chavez Campus, Santa Monica Community College, and the San Diego Justice Center. Check theburningspear.com/events for details, and as seats are limited, so register at uhuru3socal.eventbrite.com to RSVP. And the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market in St. Louis, Missouri, a project of the Black Power Blueprint, is having the last market of its season, the annual Halloween Festival, a longtime tradition of the African People's Education and Defense Fund. This is a free, family-friendly community event to ensure that youth in North St. Louis have an opportunity to enjoy a safe and fun Halloween in their own community. Come out Saturday, October 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. by the O'Fallon Park Boathouse. There will be food vendors, live DJ sets, a costume contest with prizes, tons of free candy, and more. The market is seeking donations to buy prizes for the costume contest. You can make a tax-deductible donation at apedf.org/donate, and make a note, it is for the Halloween Festival. If you live in St. Louis, you can also help by donating bags of candy. Please call 314-380-8014 or contact us or contact APDF through their website, oneafricamarket.com, for more information. Every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Africa time, tune in live for the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa, Africa Region broadcast. The Africa Region of the African People's Socialist Party responds to this attack with a series of programs under the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign. Join Uhuru movement leaders Tafari Mugeri, Morlai Conte, and Visto Sebisa, who are making the demand for the FBI and U.S. government to back off and allow the African People's Socialist Party to advance the course of African people for self-determination. Watch and follow on Facebook at facebook.com/APSP Africa Region. And make sure you like and subscribe to the Burning Spear TV on YouTube to catch every episode of the Omali Taught Me Sunday Studies. I'm going to go ahead and close down our announcement sections now so we can get into some more discussion from our incredible panelists, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Lisa Davis, and Sister Belinda Parker Brown. Before we begin to take some questions from the live audience, I just want to welcome comrades back on, and if there was anything additional before we kick off questions and answers. So Uhuru comrades, you can come back on now. So I know we kind of had a brief pause in the announcements, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody got to be able to contribute to that part of the discussion before we move forward. Sister Lisa, did you have anything?
Right. What I also just wanted to say, and another reason why it is so important that we have a strong turnout, a strong, powerful, and fearless turnout, because the kind of messages that you're going to hear at this march, you're not going to hear at a lot of these other ones. You're just not going to hear it. And with what is going on across the continent, with what's going on in Niger and these other areas, with African people being fed up and saying they're not going to take it anymore, imagine how powerful that will be for us to be there on the White House, in the seat, in the belly of the beast, that has got the bowels of the beast, Washington, D.C., and the Capitol, and the White House, and what that represents. We know right now, today, that that is the face of imperialism and colonialism. And for us to stand up strongly, the Black People's March on the White House, and the message that can give to our brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora and on the continent, I think that will be so powerful, and we must turn out. You're going to see messages: abolish Afrikaans, We must give a strong and clear message that we are fed up and we're not taking this any longer, that our destiny is not in the hands of the Democrats or the Republicans. It's not in their hands. We are not afraid of them. It's in our hands. And we don't have to be scared or pushed into voting for anyone who does not meet our demands. And we also have the 19-point platform for Black self-determination that the Black is Back Coalition has established. And in fact, one of the charges talks about that Omali Yeshitela was interfering in elections based around that platform and the electoral campaign score that we have been having. So I just wanted to add that part to it. So
Uhuru, Sister Lisa Davis, thank you so much. And I want to just acknowledge a couple of more endorsements. Aaron Smith and Janice Gensler, who also endorsed the Black People's March on the White House, wanted to shout out to you, comrades. And also want to acknowledge where people are viewing from. We have who checked in with us today: Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Namibia, Flossmoor, Illinois, Lakeland, Florida, St. Louis, Missouri, Bermuda, Chicago, Illinois. We have Largo, Florida, St. Petersburg, Florida, San Diego, California, Occupied Azania or South Africa. Also, comrade just checked in from Guyana. So Huru, comrade, thank you for tuning in as well. And let's see, we got some questions. Let's see. Oh, sorry. This was another question that just came in. Let's see. Comrade Mike, who also said that if he cannot be at the Washington, D.C. mobilization, that they will make a contribution to the effort, said, is there a specific time set for the book tour dates on the 21st, 23rd, and the 24th? I'm going to just double check the burningspear.com/events page to look for those exact times to get to you. And this is in the Northern Region book tour with the chairman, with the verdict is in reparations now. So while I look up these times, again, all of this information about the tour dates are available at theburningspear.com/events. Let's see, we're still waiting for, are we saying on November 4th, we will hold the Black vote if demands are not met? That's a question from Comrade Justice.
I think yes, that's what we're saying. I think we're voting for ourselves this time. We're not voting for them. We're voting for ourselves. In order to vote for ourselves, that means that anybody who wants that vote is going to have to accept our program. Our program calls for hands off Africa, hands off the Uhuru movement, hands off. It calls for reparations. In fact, one of the strongest supporters of the Black is Back Coalition, members of the Black is Back Coalition, has demanded that Biden initiate or issue an executive order putting reparations forward. And there are other things. I mean, look at the housing conditions. People whole communities living in tents throughout this country. Sister Belinda Parker Brown just talking about the homelessness that's been imposed on us. Of course, this is the second round of homelessness. The first one, of course, was when they snatched us up and brought us here, took us out of our homes, from Africa. So there are all kinds of issues. Somebody just talked about what's happening in Africa. And look at Haiti, where the U.S. is mobilizing various forces, even from Kenya, and talking about CARICOM going in to kill Black people in Haiti. They haven't done enough, there. So, yes.
I want to stick to that question because that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Yes.
And I want people to, whoever asked that question, I'm telling you, I am amazed because and that question gets me so excited.
Yes.
Because I've been around and I didn't see the Million Man March. I was there when people came from all over the world when Obama, was elected as the president. I mean, oh my God, the people, they look like ants out there. Okay. And I'm telling you, we done this before, people. We done been there. The Black Lives Matter, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Right on.
You know, when people were marching in the streets all over the world. Okay, so your question, what are we doing this for? And I'm here to tell you, I'll be 64 years old this year. And I guarantee you, we not fit to do it for nothing.
Well,
because all that other stuff, and like I said, I've been there, seen it, and nothing happened. Okay, you know, just like they say, Al Sharpton met with President Obama more than any person ever met with him before, and we didn't get nothing. Now, listen, my grandmother told me, whenever there is a problem, it has to be a solution. And I'm saying to you all that we cannot keep on doing the same old dumb stuff.
well,
okay? So this is where I'm at with that question. Like I said, the power is with us. It's not about what they gonna do. And our votes are powerful, but we have to put them together. And we're not gonna keep on voting. We're not gonna vote for these people that's not gonna do nothing for us. Now, you figure that out. You got the answer to your own question. We're not gonna do it no more. We just not.
right. Oh, hold on.
Us to vote for evil, or for us to sit up there and to capitulate. Because you got, in order to support the Democratic Party or even the Republicans, you got to capitulate. You got to betray the struggle, because that's what you have to do. Now, I've never voted Republican in my life, and I ain't voted Democrat in over 20 years. And this election, I was going to be like, the first time I was just going to say, I'm not participating at all. I was going to be very, very public about it, because I do not believe that, oh my gosh, that you must vote. But I believe that if you're going to vote, it should be about liberation. That's where you could begin to practice. That's where you can take that little bit of exercise to vote for liberation, to make it be about what it was supposed to be about. But I will tell people something. Emmett Till, and to me it is so hurtful that we were not able to get the justice that Emmett Till and his family deserved, because Carolyn Bryant was allowed to croak without any fear of the government coming after her. But here's the interesting thing. The Department of Justice under Trump opened the case to look into Carolyn Bryant. I know they didn't do that because Trump wanted it. That had to do with the power of the people. But guess who closed the case on Carolyn Bryant? Under the Biden administration, when he first got in office, I think in 2021, the case was closed on her. The Department of Justice said they could find nothing wrong with what she did. But of course, we know they're going after Omali, Yeshitela, and Penny Hess and Jesse Neville. They got issues with that. And the Biden administration, they closed it. And then once she closed, they're talking about opening up some building or something and naming it after Emmett Till. Why are we going to take that? That's all I got to say. Black people, why are you going to take that? Because if you vote for the Democratic Party, that means you are taking that. And I'm not taking it.
Yes, I'm so excited because, you know, I want to say that we don't have to take it anymore, people. We just don't. You know, we didn't came to our senses, like somebody say, we didn't came to our senses now. We are the Black people in the United States of America that's not going to go back. So get ready. Well, I guarantee, we're ready or not, here we come. Because we're not asking permission anymore. We're not going to let y'all do this to us anymore. What does the Democratic Party mean? What does that mean anyway? What is the Republicans? What does that mean? I don't care what it means. I'm saying we as Black people, united together, we can get whatever it is that's rightfully belong to us, and we don't have to ask permission. How about that?
Right. Let's respond like Justice Reigns says, thank you, but how do I deliver the message to my community, Patterson, New Jersey? If we don't vote, what will happen? Will it proceed without us? What I would remind everybody here is that we didn't vote to get the right to vote. Voting did not give us the so-called right to vote. What gave us the right to vote, if you will, is struggle. We fought for it, and we said, this is what we want. And then, of course, they gave us the vote. But the time that they said that you can vote, they had killed Malcolm. They killed Malcolm in this same process. The Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. That's the same year they killed Malcolm X. 1968, they killed King. 1969, they killed Fred Hampton. 1969, the Panther 21, they arrested 21 members of the Black Panther Party, framed them up. So they gave you the right to vote, but by the time you could vote, you had nobody to vote for. You had no program to vote for. Only thing you had to vote for was the Democratic Party. They had pushed us out of political life. Now we're coming back into political life, and we say we will vote for ourselves. And how do we vote for ourselves? This is what we're looking at, Comrade Justice Reigns. We are saying that we vote for ourselves because we're voting for this program that we take into Washington, D.C. And whether you get a vote from Black people depends on your being able to put forth Black people's agenda, Black people's program that's marching in Washington, D.C. If you can do that, then we can vote because we'll be voting for ourselves and not just for the Democratic Party or for nothing, not just for some symbolic thing. They can murder Emmett Till and then they can say that they're going and not do anything about it. The government doesn't do anything, never put anybody in prison for that murder. The white woman who they said has something to do with it, and of course she did, Carolyn Bryant, they said, no, we're not dealing with her. The white woman who came out, and you can't find an instance where white people who were involved and Black people ever went to trial, ever were indicted or went to trial anyway, or was convicted. Now Penny Hess, a white woman, Jesse Neville, a white man, they get indicted not for killing Black people, but for working on the side of Black people to be free. So we're saying that this is what you gotta support us. This is who we are. Not Joe Biden, not the Democratic Party, support us. So by the time they give us the right to vote, they kill all of the revolutionary leadership, destroy our organization, scatter everybody. And that's what makes November 4th so important, because all those people they scattered, all the people they imprisoned, all these political prisoners that people dying in prison because they had the courage to stand up to try to organize for Black people. All those Africans they put in prison to make sure that there's nobody on the streets, in the ground, who will be able to fight for us or who would have the courage to do that. We are coming together November 4th. We're resurrecting a movement that you destroyed to make sure that Black people would have no voice, that there was no agenda of our own, that Black people would not be protesting like with Vietnam. We were the primary protesters in Vietnam, even if we were not in the streets like so many of the white groups. We were in Vietnam. They sent us to Vietnam to kill the colonized people in Vietnam and to get killed. And what we did was Africans in Vietnam turned that war in Vietnam against their commanders in Vietnam. We were the front line. The majority of the people on the front lines in that war against Vietnam against colonized people were African people. And then we turned that war in Vietnam. African people began to fight their commanders in Vietnam, made it impossible for them to do that to us. We have to begin to fight for ourselves. They destroyed our organizations. We're coming back together. That's what November 4th is. It's a regrouping of the whole anti-colonial movement, standing on our own feet, standing for our own selves, bringing our own program, and regardless of what Biden and the Democratic Party or any of the others want to do. It's the Democratic Party and Obama. Obama's Justice Department put another $1 million bounty on Assata Shakur.
You know, this is a Chakamafu Nane, okay? A Chakamafu Nane, people. And I know some of you out there, you might know 369, the Goose Drink Wine, the Monkey Chew Tobacco on the Street Call Line. Okay, I'm here to tell you that the vote is getting choked. Okay? The vote is getting choked. We're going to choke the vote, and we're going to put it where it's supposed to be for the people that deserve their freedom.
Yes.
Our liberation.
Yes.
Our reparations.
Yes.
Okay, see, they didn't kept us drunk. They didn't kept us asleep. They didn't kept us, ignorant and illiterate. They bank on that. Okay, that we gonna keep on doing the same old dumb stuff. And that's what this is about, people. It's about us coming together out of that fogness, out of that, hidden. We're coming out. Like Diana Ross said, we're coming out.
Right. And Chairman, just speaking.
And we're going to show up and we're going to show out.
Indeed.
That's right. And just speaking of St. Louis, I just want people to also understand this, because St. Louis is right next to Ferguson, where Mike Brown was murdered, and Darren Wilson, I don't think he served 5 seconds in prison. But so where the African People's Socialist Party in the Uhuru House, where their headquarters are now located, is St. Louis. And where that raid happened is in St. Louis, where the Department of Justice went after them. However, under the Obama administration and Eric Holder, the Department of Justice was asked to investigate Darren Wilson. And the Department of Justice, again, under the Democrats, said they could find nothing wrong with what Darren Wilson did. They let him walk. However, the ones they have a problem with is Omali, Yeshitela, and the Uhuru Three. And if you go to St. Louis, or you go to the Black is Back Facebook page, or you look at one of my little videos, not to plug myself, but you will see the Uhuru House, the community center that they built up in St. Louis. You will see this 50-foot pole, this beautiful red, black, and green flag. Every Black community should have that flag flying like that. You will see a basketball court that they built up. You will see apartment complex for people who are coming out of prison, named for Mafundi Lake and other of our political prisoners. You will hear about other kind of things that they're building up, but yet the Department of Justice has a problem with that. And another thing, the Democrats, the Congressional Black Caucus, they introduced a bill. Chairman Omali Yeshitela was one of the first people that I know of to begin to speak out against this horrible war with Ukraine, and telling the truth about how Russia never enslaved us, and how Ukraine is filled with these neo-Nazis, which they are. But he was one of the first ones who began to speak out about that. But the Congressional Black Caucus, Gregory Meeks from New York, introduced the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act, in which Black people were specifically singled out in that bill, calling for the United States government to monitor the actions of Black people throughout the world, on the continent of Africa, every place in the United States as well, to make sure we don't get out of line with them. And that passed overwhelmingly in the House. I don't know what eventually happened, but all of the Congressional Black Caucus and the squad signed on to that. And then a month later, they're raiding Omali Yeshitela, and then we see them going hard after these other organizations as well, and groups fighting and protesting, like the people in Atlanta, Stop Cop City, in Tampa, Florida, and in a bunch of other places, people showing solidarity with Cuba. And yet this is what the Congressional Black Caucus gets behind? And the Democrat Party?
That's important. And they've even targeted the head of UNAC. The United National Anti-War Coalition. They're coming like that. All of that stuff is happening. And I want to say that Justice Raines, who raised the question about voting and in Paterson, New Jersey, he's put forth here that I'll be there. And I'm glad to see that, Justice Raines, because it was in Paterson, New Jersey, that Hurricane Carter, they framed up Hurricane Carter and threw him in prison for so many years as well. So there's not a city, in this country where you won't be able to find where African people were brutalized, murdered, lynched, mistreated, by this United States government that would say that the Russians had to tell us that we were being mistreated, and that's why we are complaining. So this is a way to say that Black people cannot complain. If you complain, you can't say anything. If you say something, then they will come at you. That's what Comrade Sister Belinda Parker Brown was talking about, how fear is so pervasive because Black people live in a state of fear so long and so ordinary that many people don't even know we're scared. But you know that you can't wear your hair a certain way. You can't wear your clothes a certain way. You can't say certain things. You can't go certain places. If the white man knows you went there, if your boss knew you did this or said this, you will lose your jobs or your life. This is what this living in this country is like. So, and people don't, it's happened to us for so long that we don't even recognize something wrong is being done to us. You know you're not supposed to do that, boy. You know you're not supposed to go those places. You expect bad things to happen to you if you go to a meeting with these Black militants, etc. You expect that they might come and attack you, etc. What kind of freedom is that? This is the fear that most African people live with.
You know, and thank you so much for bringing that up, Chairman. And see, this is where we're at. You know, when we stand back and let them attack, you know, a hero like yourself, you know, that have been out here for 50 years, you know, your messages have not changed. You know, they're the only ones that's having a problem with your message, like Sister Lisa just said, because you're reviving dilapidated communities. You know, you're just making things better for people, for Black people that's been suffering. And they don't want that, people. You know, the judge banned me from the courtroom for life because I told a young lady that she don't have to take a plea. You got the right to go to trial if that is your wish. But they was badgering and threatening and forcing her and to take a plea to something that she didn't even do. Because the plea bargain scheme is a part of their gravy train. So if anybody that's speaking against that or doing something to help people get off of their gravy train, they get mad at you. They want to stop you.
Yes.
They want to block you. They want to destroy you. Because I'm telling people, don't plead to something that you didn't do. You deserve the right. It's your right if you want to get your discovery. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. Find out what it is that they have against you and go to trial in your own defense. They don't want that. So when they attack somebody like Chairman Omali, oh my God, people, that's standing up for the people, that's speaking out for liberation and reparation for the people, that's uniting and making things happen for self-sufficient for the people to be able to take care of themselves and not be all bent over, working for them, slaving for them, feeding their gravy train. They don't want that. So if we stood back and didn't do nothing when they killed Malcolm X, when they assassinated Dr. King, they did it. They did it, people. They killed them people.
Yes.
If we're going to step back and let them attack our great leader like Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and we just want to find out what they going to do in the courts and how they going to do this and when they going to do that and how much money it's going to cost for them to fight this, well, get a lawyer. It don't work, people. We got to do all that. But it's something greater than we can do. We can say, hands off the Uhuru movement.
Right.
Hands off right now.
Uhuru.
How dare you attack one of our great leaders in the 21st century? And we gonna sit back and let you do that? There's something wrong with us.
And also making sure that when you come to DC on November 4th, or if you should want to join the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation, which I think you should want to, or the Hands Off Uhuru, or the African People's Socialist Party, or the Uhuru movement in any one of its capacities, you are also joining a network of organizations and activists, not just in the United States, but across the world. And when you go to DC, make sure you should want to know at least 5 other people, 5 other organizations that you did not know before, because then you are also working on making sure that you can feel more protected, because you know you walk out that door, I mean, you know that if you run into something, you're going to have a network of people that you can call and that will know you and that will be there for each other. That is so important as well. Uhuru.
I want to talk about our celebrities and all these people that's running around here thinking they living high on the hog, like my grandmother would say. They living on top of the hill and they got it made in the shade. How you feel? What's going on with you? What you thinking about? You think it's all good? Well, I'm here to tell you, you got a sad, sick mind. Because if you think it's all good just because you the NBA and you got this and you got that and you got 20 cars and what, 1,000 pair of tennis shoes, it's something wrong with you. It's something seriously wrong with you. You need to do a come to Jesus meeting. You need to do some soul searching because there's something wrong with you. And that go for everybody else out here thinking, well, it ain't none of me. You know, look at, you know, what they marching for.
Yeah.
What they trying to do this for. What they trying to do that for. It's something wrong with you. It's something seriously wrong with you because you need to do some soul searching.
Well, I'm convinced that there are not enough of us who are now. There are enough of us who stood up. And it gives people who have had some of the same concerns and interests and issues that we have, it gives them a place that they can come to unite. They can say, okay, somebody's doing it. People are tired. How many times you've heard people say, okay, we've had this march, we've been here, you do the same thing. Al Sharpton will wear you out. He's got one of the most militant prayers that you can ever hear. He'll mock you to death and then take you to church and get on knees and pray. You get all sweaty with prayer and stuff, you know, so people get tired of that. So this is the first time. Listen to what's being discussed. This is everybody who's here. Listen to what's being discussed right now in terms of what it is that we're going to do on November 4th. This is not their march. This is not the begging, pleading, kissing the butt of white power march. This is ours. This is the first time you have an opportunity. Come, make your own posters. Come, complain about, protest, and bring in unity with all the other people who are going to be there about the same kinds of things happening in your community that nobody even knows about. You know about it, and bring those struggles here and make contacts with all these other people from around the country, and that would connect with people around the world around these issues. And if you come on Friday, which is where the get in early, where the pre-rally is going to happen, if you get there Friday, you might even have an opportunity to get on the platform at the pre-rally, on the stage at the pre-rally, maybe, but bring it there. And the thing is that this gives us, bring all of your propaganda, the stuff that you've got around the cases where you're located. There's not going to be much time for people to speak because there's going to be a whole lot of people coming and a whole lot of speakers, but bring your issues, write it up. Even if it's not fancy and stuff like that, write it up and pass it out to other people who are going to be there from all these other places where you don't live, who don't know about your case, who don't know about your struggle. This is what we do. This is how we pull it all together and bring all the like-minded people together in this struggle to overturn this relationship we have with a predatory, colonial, a parasitic social system. That's what this call is. It's for us. It's not for them. It's not their march, it's our march. It's our march to come together, collectivize our efforts, our energy, collectivize our program, etc. This is what it is that we're going to do. So
And Chairman, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, this is an opportunity for us to count our votes.
Yes.
You know, let's see how many millions of votes that we have. You know, we want to count our votes, people. And another thing too, Director, if we can, you know, put some type of landing page for people to put their stuff on. You know, what are your issues? What is it going on in your community that don't nobody know?
Yeah.
Let's go to that page and put that on that page.
Right on. That's great. Let me just say, we don't have much time. I just wanted to say that Cornel West has made a statement in support of this fight back against the FBI. And we'll see where he's going. He scared them to death. Just his statement, because the percentage, the difference in the percentage that comes out for the Democratic Party is something they're terrified about. And they rely on Black people. They rely on indigenous people and things like that. That's what they rely on. They don't have to give us anything because they're not Trump, because they're not Republicans. And so Cornel West, you know, made that statement. We'll see where he's willing to go. But I'm glad to say that he did at least come out and oppose them. And they're afraid of how many votes he's going to take away from Biden. How many votes he's going to give to Black people is the real question that we're looking at. So I just wanted to mention that as evidence of the predicament that the Democratic Party, Biden, and all of them are in. And they're not going to make us a scapegoat. They're not going to make us a part of this fight they got with Russians or Chinese or somebody else. We got our own interests. We Black people, we are oppressed, we are colonized everywhere in the world, and so are other colonized people around the world. We're not going to be the scapegoats for this. They used to have this thing they call a so-called Cold War. The reason they called it the Cold War because the Russians and the Americans were not shooting at each other. They call it a Cold War, but it wasn't cold. They killed Lumumba. It wasn't cold. They were killing people all over Vietnam. And they were using the Cold War mantra as an excuse to be able to do that. They were crushing people all around the world, and even in this country, calling it Cold War. That's the real war. We engaged in the real war, and we are not going to be scapegoats for you. Black people have our own interests as people, and it's an interest that we have in solidarity with all the other colonized people and justice-loving people around the world and all the working people around the world who are conscious of what their real interests are. So I just wanted to say that November 4th, you can't go wrong by coming to Washington, D.C. It's the right thing to do. Uhuru. Comrade.
And we don't want some, we want it all.
All of it. All of it.
All of it.
We stand on the revolutionary history, the legacy, one of the greatest legacies of freedom fighters in the United States, the Black liberation struggle. And we are against the oppression of all people. The name of the Black is Back Coalition is the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. So, regardless of where you may have been born, your nationality, if you are for righteousness, and you're against these wars and you're against the oppression of people, be there. I got my shirt on too. I got this one on. See, I got my
Black is back. Come on, let's count out. Let's start counting our votes right now.
Right. And we got a wardrobe. We got a wardrobe that we are.
Right. I can get 130,000 all by myself with just my name. So, and I know we can add up that with these young people out here. They're ready.
Uhuru, comrades. And, you know, I think those were the perfect closing remarks. You got people fired up and ready to go to Washington, D.C. on November 4th. I just want to remind people, and I also want to acknowledge Sister Belinda. I got that note about our website. So we'll make sure we have that landing page for people to put in their stories. And just to remind people what that website is, your one-stop shop for what you need to know about the Black People's March on the White House is going to be blackpeoplesmarch.com. Has all the information, has your outreach materials, has any housing information, things like that. It's all located on this. Our endorsers, everything is on this website. Also, if you want to get on the bus and leave with any of these contingents, some of the forces you've heard about today, please go to tinyurl.com/GOTB2023 to make sure that you can get connected with people leaving out of your area. I want to really salute the profound presentation and discussion that we've had today. One of the best here on Omali Taught Me Sunday Study with comrades Lisa Davis and Sister Belinda Parker Brown. Always on fire, always a pleasure. And of course, our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We say hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, hands off the Uhuru 3 and the African Liberation Movement. We're saying no to the FBI's war on Black liberation. We are not going back. The true struggle for democracy is housed right here in this struggle. And, we will not let them take anything that we fought to gain. We're going all the way, and all the way.
This time till it's won.
This time till it's won.
Our children and our great-grandchildren.
Let's salute Comrade Mawezi, who is leading.
Yes.
Mawezi, we love you.
Right.
Bad sisters everywhere. We say African women must lead. Chair Mawezi, who is leading this Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign and fight back. Just want to also salute you, comrade, who's also working behind the scenes in this study as we have this discussion. So Uhuru comrades, and thank you all for your participation today in this meeting, letting us know that you will be there on November 4th. Don't stop. Continue letting us know. Continue commenting, tagging people, letting people know you're going to November 4th and you want them to come with you. So keep that.
And start counting our votes. Put it where we can start actually counting our votes and show the people what that looks like. Count our votes. Count the Black people vote.
The white people went and
leave us alone. Leave us alone.
January 6th, white people went to the Capitol to stop the vote count. We're going to Washington, D.C. November 4th to make the vote count. Our vote.
Exactly. Uhuru. And so we're going to go ahead and wrap up today. Again, salute our brilliant panelists. Want to make sure I let you know to follow the chairman on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram, and subscribe to the Burning Spear TV on YouTube to catch every episode of the Omali Taught Me Sunday Study and more incredible discussions such as this. And we're going to close out with a PSA for the November 4th mobilization that is narrated by Sister Margaret Kimberly of the Black Agenda Report. So let's go ahead and roll that as we, roll up out of here. Uhuru, comrades.
Uhuru, this is Margaret Kimberly. All out on Saturday, November 4th for the 15th annual Black People's March on the White House, sponsored by the Black is Back Coalition. Drop the charges on Omali Yeshitela, chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, leader of the Uhuru movement. On July 29, 2022, the FBI launched pre-dawn raids on 7 properties of the Uhuru movement in 2 cities using assault weapons, flashbang grenades, and drones. The chairman and 2 others, known as the Uhuru 3, have been indicted by the U.S. government and face federal charges. Chairman Yeshitela has said, the FBI wants to put me on trial for fighting for Black freedom. Put the colonial state on trial, we will win. An attack on free speech for Chairman Omali Yeshitela is an attack on everyone's free speech. March under the banner of the anti-colonial free speech movement. Register for the Black People's March on the White House on Saturday, November 4th at blackpeoplesmarch.com or go to handsoffuhuru.org. Drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 and power to the people.